Hey everyone, welcome back to BizBlend, the show where we mix real talk, business strategy, and mindset so you can build a company that actually serves your life, not swallows it whole. Now, listeners, as you know, I'm your host Sana, and for this episode today, we are going to straight to the backbone of online business. We are talking about the four foundations every online business needs to succeed, not the fluffy one, the Instagram version one, the unsexy truths most gurus never ever mention because it does not fit on a motivation quote graphic. And to do this right, I have someone who has actually lived it, not just sold the dream business. Our guest today is Lindsay Sutherland. She has spent over 20 years in leadership and sales in the automotive industry, hit the six-figure milestone. And then she realized success without freedom felt like a trap. So she walked away, moved her family to a log cabin in the woods of Idaho, and rebuilt life and business on her own terms. And today she's the co-founder of Biz in a Box Solutions, which is a CRM and automation company that helps small service-based businesses streamline operations and also reclaim their time. She has helped overhaul a solar electric business, launched profitable academics, and guided clients from 2K months to consistent 20K months with one big system shift. Crazy, right? Yeah, she has the receipts. And listeners, so let's get down to this conversation. And Lindsay, welcome to BizBlend. And it is really an honor to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Your voice is so soothing. I'm really like, what have I been missing? I need to listen to this show more.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. That makes me feel so good. So good. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you. That really means a lot. Okay, let's get down to first understand you know the foundation before we even talk about the four foundations here. So when you look at specifically online businesses, that actually thrive, that actually last, not just go viral for maybe a month or so, what are the core foundations you believe every online business need to succeed?
Well, I'd like to start by sharing a little bit of backstory, how I got to
Yeah.
this point, because it's relevant. I mean, you heard my bio. A lot of my story was in retail in a brick and mortar style business. And
Mm.
when I moved up here, this online business world felt like such a nebulous, just far reaching. I couldn't seem to figure it out. There were so many people saying, you've got to do this or this strategy, or workshops are dead, do this. It was just overwhelming and intimidating, just the amount of information. And I've spent easily over $30,000 in coaching myself, trying to figure it out as I was scrambling to find my way in my little journey here.
Mm.
But one day, after I had, you know, you start to shift. You started to go from like, oh, I need this next tool or gizmo, gadget, guru, whatever. And I started to see a trend, something that nobody was saying out loud, but they were all doing it. And because of my background in business, it
Mm.
was very clear to me. I started to see a pattern. I'm like, okay, it really doesn't matter the strategy or the product or the modality. So it could be e-commerce, it could be course creation, coaching, freelancing, whatever you're doing, there was always a foundation that everybody was needing in order to be successful. And they were talking about it in essence, but not this way. And it's because I could see how there was like a through line in everybody's process. The other piece of this that helped me was when I started, I launched a podcast where I wanted to interview experts so that I could learn. And so I've not only taken the courses, I've not only learned from the coaches, I've interviewed so many people and I started to it all just started to culminate and I'm like, "Oh my goodness. this is the piece that nobody says from the beginning. And oh my stars, I wish somebody would have told me because it would have made things so much easier for me. So here's what it broke down to be. The first is to focus on a transformative problem to solve. People buy for three main reasons. Either you're solving a problem in their life, you're adding value like beauty and aesthetics, or esteem, right? People buy because something makes them feel prestigious. The esteem and the beauty are probably two of the most competitive and difficult avenues to go. When you solve a problem for somebody and you articulate well that the result they're going to get, it's easier to convert. And when you build your entire business model around that one thing, whatever that problem is, it makes life so much simpler for you, because a lot of people I see get stuck on product iteration. Oh, I'll make this. Well, that's not selling. Maybe I need to make this. Well, that's not selling. No, it's not. It's your product, your offer is important, but it's more how you articulate it. And so focusing on the transformation that you offer that that person will get is the key. Number one platform. Everything must come from that one thing. And then you focus on one type of person who needs that problem solved. One person. And this is the second big mistake I see, is a lot of times because we imagine that the world is filled with what, 8 billion people. The more people I can serve, the better I'll do. But in actual real life, it turns out that it dilutes your message when you do that. When you try to be there for everybody, it makes it so that the people you can really help miss your message completely. They just can't see it. When you speak to them directly, because you know them intimately, you will convert so much better and your business will start to take flight. So one transformation, one problem to solve for one specific person who needs it. The third is to build a product ladder around that topic. So another piece of this, when I got started, and you're seeing it now a lot I see it all over the place on YouTube, people building these little businesses, side hustles is the common word. Well, side hustles are exhausting. Let's be real. And we only have so much time and energy in the day, right? So if we're building one side hustle to serve this audience and another one to serve that audience, pretty soon, especially with how saturated the marketplace is, you are burnt out. You're finding yourself like, it's easier to just go get a job and I'll just give up on this whole idea. Well, stick to this format and you will be successful, because the third step is to design a product ladder that serves that one person and solves that one product, or that one problem rather. And you end up making money on the same person as they level up through the solution. It also filters out the people who figure it out on their own, and then the people who need more hand-holding, right? So let's talk about online business, right? If we're talking about somebody who wants to get started, if I was to scoop and cast a wide net, I'm looking at people who are thinking about online business. They're not sure about what they want. Their problem is clarity, right? They need clarity. Once they have the clarity, now they're getting into the weeds. Like, well, how do I design my business around this idea that I have? That'd be like level 2. Now we're going to help them solve that problem. And then the next step is, okay, now that I've sort of got my idea, how do I market this idea? So that's like level 3. Pretty soon, I mean, it's an infinite scale in a lot of ways, because even a person who's built up a 6-figure business online has a new set of challenges that they need solved. So you've now built an entire business around solving this particular problem. You just kind of walk your person through their journey, and you build products along the way to solve that problem. Keep it in the lanes of what you're doing, and it will be more fruitful. Yeah. The last one is one that trips a lot of people up and burns a lot of people out, and that is the marketing channel. I know I mentioned marketing, but in the beginning, I'm hosting a book club right now, and it happens to be on the topic of social media. And one of my attendees said, "I've got to be everywhere." And I said, "Are you sure you have to be everywhere? Why do you think you have to be everywhere?" And I think in the beginning, if we can just pick one platform and dial it in, here's my favorite bit of advice for anybody who's in the online business or business at all. Think of your business as a science project. When we do a science project, we have a control group, we have A/B tests, we use the scientific method to solve our hypothesis. Well, when we treat business the same way, it takes that emotion out of it, right? So, that's a big step. You got to get away from doing everything by feeling. Um, you want to be pragmatic and scientific about your approach. So rather than trying to be blasting everywhere, focus on one primary platform and be scientific in your approach. Master that platform. Listen, one thing I've learned after all these years is every way works. All these people that are telling you, don't do that, do this works and that doesn't, they're all wrong. They all work. Find the one that resonates and vibes with you and master it and build your community there like a silo. And then once you get your systems in place for that one thing, then go master another one. The other reason why I say this is important is because I'll see people who take their content. I did it. I did this exact same thing. I used repurpose.io to push my content onto every platform. I had the same mindset, right? Well, I would see that like one video might go viral on TikTok and flop on Instagram. A post that soars on Facebook flops on LinkedIn. It was just a very much where I'm like, what really am I getting from just being there, just having a presence? I wasn't being strategic to the platform. And to truly grow on a platform, you need to feed the algorithm that platform is using. Because when you don't, when you post content and it does flop, it depresses you showing up on that platform. So you only want to produce high quality content as much as possible, which means the content needs to be unique to what works for that platform. And that is almost impossible to do in the beginning. So this is why I say start with one platform. Maybe even if you're really ambitious, start with one long form content platform like a podcast and one social media platform. And that's it, just to start. So that's the framework really. And once you dial in and you start getting your marketing channel dialed in, now you can start expanding, or you could bring on people to help you keep that system running or build the automations that help support it because it's dialed in. You know what it needs to do. And it sets you that foundation to scale.
Exactly. I really love the flow here. Like it's it's no BS, straightforward, very clear. And I think this not only for online business, but it is what kind of the basics, business 101. Because you first started with positioning that, either the product or the service is trying to solve issues or problems out there for people. Either people will have it for their aesthetics and all, and then for esteem. Like iPhone would probably, like, if I look 5 years back, people would buy that, yes, I have an iPhone to show off. So like for esteem and for kind of the luxury segment. But nowadays I'm seeing a very gradual shift, especially if I look at the Indian market, like how people are actually equating smartphone to iPhone. And I think that's how the brand is kind of also transitioning into its way of positioning and messaging. And then you came down to understanding the customer persona. You know, like like you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like, before we even start thinking about marketing, we have to understand like the customer, or let's say this background of that customer, who will exactly whom for whom I'm going to create this product or what kind of problem I'm solving. So I have to really understand the entire background behind that, so then it comes to customer. And then, of course, I really love that you kept it like focused. Like we do not have to focus on all the channels to begin with. For example, one thing which I really observed, Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong, like for podcast, it's very surprising. People would instantly think YouTube is there, fine, Instagram, TikTok. But then Facebook is kind of this, background hero where I've seen a lot of people actually, they're having dedicated communities, groups on Facebook talking about podcasting as a serious profession. And that is something that I've also gradually learned and kind of, realized that, okay, maybe I'm focusing on a wrong marketing channel to begin with. So, yeah.
Well, and I
that-
think we
Mm.
should all choose a marketing channel that aligns with us because, like I said, all ways work. So if we choose a way, and by that I mean a marketing channel, because we see somebody who's crushing it on
Mm.
YouTube and we think, I have to do that.
Yeah.
But if you are not truly into it, it won't work
Mm.
for you. I always say it's like, imagine we walked into someone's house randomly and went to their closet and started dressing ourselves. It would feel funny, not only because we're in a stranger's house, but because their clothes fit them, right? And if it doesn't fit us, that feeling when you go shopping and you put something on and you're just like, "Yes, this is for me. I feel so good in this outfit." Well, we want that to happen in our marketing strategy, especially in the beginning, because it's going to take grit to stick with it,
Mm.
right? And so it's got to be somewhere you can handle. So I'll give you a real story to back that up. I chose podcasting audio style over YouTube because I'm a mom. I've got 4 kids. Sometimes it was convenient for me to be recording in the early morning or the late evenings like you are. And let's be real, we don't wanna get up and do our hair and makeup at that hour.
I know. Well,
Sometimes
goodness.
exactly, and sometimes it's nice to just be in your robe and your pajamas and record an audio podcast where nobody can see you, right?
Exactly.
That is truly what inspired me to do podcasting. Well, at some point I thought I've got to get on YouTube. I'm missing out on this huge opportunity.
Yeah.
So I started forcing myself to get onto YouTube. And I'll be honest with you, it slowed my podcast down because exactly what I said, I felt I had to get all dolled up. I had to have the right scene, the right lighting. Well, if I can't get it done, then I just won't do it. So my podcast slowed down dramatically. And a friend of mine told me she was doing a podcast a day. And I said, "How in the world are you doing that?" She's like, "I just do audio only. I record and I upload, and that's that." And I thought, you know what? If it was audio only, I could definitely do more. And she inspired me to get back into it. Meanwhile,
Uh,
I met a man. He came on my podcast. I'd be happy to introduce you if you'd like. He'd be a great guest here.
oh,
He
wow,
was
sure.
yeah, he was talking about the power of podcasting and the future of podcasting as a viable channel because a part of me was wondering, with how powerful YouTube is podcasting still a viable channel? It 100% is. It's going to explode, and we haven't even scratched the surface. So if you've got a podcast, you're in a good position. Um, but all that to say is it just sometimes you just need permission. You just need permission to do the one thing really well. And my second platform that I invest my attention on is Facebook. Now, I will tell you, I am on most of the other platforms. I will spatter content out there when I can. I don't treat it like the scientific method approach that I give to Facebook, okay? And Facebook again is because I don't have to worry about doing reels all the time, right? Again, it's all about that like energetic output and the capacity that I have as a busy mom. I homestead, we raise sheep. Like I've got a life that doesn't always lend itself to cute Instagram videos. Let's be real. It's just not the way it goes. And so for me, it would take an immense amount of effort and energy to be consistent on that platform. But over on Facebook, I can post static images. I can post text only, and my text only posts go viral. So, I mean, that is why I chose the platform for me. And my point is to all of
Mm,
you in your audience here is stick to what resonates with you. All the ways will work. You can grow an audience on any channel when you give it your full attention. You practice the algorithm, you get familiar with it, you figure out what works for it, serve
yeah,
the audience, and it will serve you. So that is the tip there.
exactly. Golden in there. And trust me, Lindsay, everyone would tell me video. Yeah, fine. Yes, let's do video. But then like statistically also I was, just going through this podcasting report like a week back. It is still very surprising that um most of the people, I mean, it may not be a huge percentage or maybe in specific categories, but most of the people, what they usually do, and this is something that I also personally do as a consumer, the podcast is running in the background. I'm still paying attention. My ears are paying attention. My brain is paying attention to what the conversation is happening, and I'm doing something. Maybe I'm doing some kind of work on my laptop, or maybe doing some kind of dishes or household chores. But then my brain, my ears are also still attentive to what is what the host is talking on podcast. Sometimes it can be so many categories. It can be interview based. It can be just a monologue. It can be sometimes a true crime podcast with a beautiful narration and some sound effects. So yeah, there are ways to captivate. There are ways to kind of have a great storytelling effect, even if it's an audio. But then I'm 100% agreeing with you that um, we have to be intentional when it comes to understanding, where exactly my consumers or customers are there. What are they doing? What are their behavioral patterns? What do they want to listen? And where exactly do they find such kind of content, which I am also trying to build? And not only content, but when it comes to online products or services as well.
I think though that is true. We might want to take into consideration where is our audience living, but I have found in working with a lot of people, we are often building a business for somebody that's similar to us.
Hmm.
So it's also fair to say that wherever you end up, there will be people there. Now, it could be argued that Facebook is probably not going to attract 20-year-olds, right? Because
Yeah.
they're going to be maybe on TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
But in all truth, I don't want to attract 20-year-olds. I work better with people my age, my demographic.
Yeah.
So I think that unless you're building a specific brand to solve a problem for somebody at a specific age, which in that case you could just run ads like to them
Mhm.
on that channel. But to
Mhm.
build a nurture space where you get to show up as who you are and you're building a personal brand, you're building a brand that is you are the face of it. It really needs to be something that feels good to you. Like if video doesn't come naturally, you will be awkward on the video, you know?
Mhm.
Um, there's a ton of tools coming out though now, like faceless
Yeah.
video and reels and AI and all sorts of tech that is going to make us have even more competition in whatever space we choose, which to my point, I think is why authenticity is so, so, so important because we
Mm.
want to show up wherever we can that allows us to be our genuine self because that's how we're going to attract people. I have an example. I had a friend of mine who I've known her for a long time.
Mhm.
And she's in my course collective class where we're teaching her how to build a course. And we were talking about a mutual acquaintance, somebody we both know who does a similar thing to what I do. She's like,
Mhm.
Lindsay, I think she's a great person, but I just don't resonate with any of her content. And there was the whole thing came down to genuine authenticity and the difference between how we're showing up. And I think if I could share that story to relate something to this was one of the biggest mindset shifts that shifted for me. I used
Mhm.
to think I only had to show up polished, hair done, cute-ish at least, something like that. Well, I have found though that that actually isn't always true. And I told you how I raise sheep. So I was out
Mhm.
the other day and I was building a structure for them for inside.
Mhm.
And I was dirty and it was cold. So I had my snow jacket on and
Oh.
I just did not look cute whatsoever, okay?
Yeah.
But I sat up my camera and I took a, like, 10-second video of me pounding this post and digging out this hole. And I did a reel that was just like, point of view and a little bit about my life that was different than what
Mhm.
they see. And it got over 1,000 views on Facebook and on Instagram.
Oh.
And that's something I wouldn't have posted before I had this idea, where I felt like I had to show up only for my audience. Because what we end up doing is we start thinking we know what our audience wants. Therefore, what we're
Mhm.
really doing is judging ourselves. Like, I must do this or I must not do this, but we don't really
Mhm.
know because we haven't tested it.
Mhm.
The things that I share that have me in a photo with no makeup do better than me looking polished and like I'm on the cover of a book. So it's just, I don't know. I just say, be yourself, show up, choose the nurture space for you because you're going to attract people who like you. They want to be in your ecosphere. And those are the people who choose to do business with you.
Absolutely. That is no doubt, Lindsay. No doubt. No doubt. And before we move further into the conversation, listeners, just a quick thing that yeah, if you care about building a business that does not burn you out, hit follow on BizBlend, share this episode with one friend who is stuck in hustle mode. Tag us when you do, because this show is all about blending business and life in a way that feels sustainable and smart. And Lindsay, let's move to the next very interesting part of your journey. So you mentioned that, and this I read in the intro, and I was very intrigued. Like one system shift took a client from 2K month to consistent 20K months. I mean, this is a big jump. So
Mhm.
what exactly was that system change, and why did it have that much impact on the revenue?
I love this. This is such a lead in to what we were just talking about because
Yeah.
so Diane came to me as a local. I live in a small town. It's a very small town. We don't even have a Walmart. So for people listening, that means something in the States. Um, anyway, so she was a mineral practitioner or is a mineral practitioner. She's a health coach. And she kind of got started just because of her own health journey. And she started helping friends and family. And her
Mhm.
business was going really good. All of a sudden, it was like she was getting a ton of referrals. She was working 8 to 10 hours a day and just really burning out, mostly because she was only making those 2K months. She's like, "Why is it I don't even know if it's worth it. Like, is this worth it?" So, what I diagnosed in her business was I noticed that every time she was meeting a new prospect, she was handling that situation unique to what she thought that person could do. It goes back to what we were saying where if
Mm.
we build our business because we think we know what our audience wants rather than listening to what they want, we will shortchange ourselves. And that's what she was doing. She would make an assumption that this mom couldn't afford her service, or she would
Mm.
only pitch a small portion of what she could do to really help them because she just didn't think they were ready for it. And so what we did is we overhauled her sales process. Okay. And we also, part of that was packaging up her stuff because she was customizing every offer, which is very time consuming. That is very time
It is.
consuming.
It is.
So we organized it so she had her two main offers and her introductory offer to get started with her. So three simple things. And I said, every time somebody comes to you, your process is, and I laid out her process, like you're going to give them their protocol, you're going to review everything, and then you're going to
Mm.
pitch this product, which was her coaching
Mhm.
package. Some will say yes, some will say no, some will say maybe later. And she was so nervous about this. I truly say like she did this because if she didn't have the courage to stick to this, it wouldn't have worked. And she said she put a sticky note on her computer because I said to her, just do the process 100% of the process, 100% of the time. Goes back to our science analogy, right? We're just going to follow the scientific method and do the process. If we write the process as the executive of our business, and then we execute the process as the employee of our business, we will be successful. And that's all she did. She started pitching people the same thing every time. She was blown away. I mean, she's like, "Lindsay, I had 4 people say yes this month," and it just blew her away. And then people who she didn't think could afford it were paying her in full.
Wow.
And what was really cool is this was going back almost, I don't know, we've been working together now for almost 2 years. So I'd say it was a good 18 months ago that we really implemented. This was one of the first things we did with her and her business. And it's consistent. It's she hasn't deviated from that. She's gotten more confident in her ability to sell herself and her services, and her process has just gotten more and more dialed in. And it's just been consistent. I mean, she's been able to stay at that consistent 20K months ever since. And it really just boiled down to she had the traffic. That's the one piece of this that if people are listening to this, they could be struggling with because she did have the traffic, and finding that traffic flow is a challenge. That could be a challenge. But the system we overhauled was her sales system. And she was getting the leads, but she wasn't really dealing with them the way a professional business person would because she just kind of got started helping people. It wasn't her, she wasn't a business person like many people who start businesses. We're good at what we're good at. We're not always good at running the business side. Um, but it just really truly goes back to what we were talking about is like put in a process and be consistent. And if I can like tattoo something on our foreheads, it's like that. Consistency wins.
Probably. No, exactly. No, Listen, I can kind of, feel that shift through what you just, kind of narrated. Such a beautiful. And I think the first step itself was that mindset shift within her. The courage to accept, yes, there is a problem here, there is a gap here. I have acknowledged there's a gap and there are solutions out there. Lindsay is there to help me, to guide me. And I think that is something probably, many of us would still struggle to, be aware about. That maybe the problem could be with the process I'm following, or with maybe, okay, I'm not much experienced or of an expertise here, but then let me look out for help. Like, let me look out for solutions. And I think that definitely needs a lot of mindset shift. And absolutely, Lindsay. Credit goes to her. I mean, this definitely needs a lot of courage. And I think when it comes to, like business, and especially in services, when you are dealing with clients, you're trying to understand their expectations and kind of, this is something I've also struggled with, Lindsay, that I would always believe in tailoring everything according to the expectations. But there has to be some kind of a sweet spot, where both me and the person to whom I'm pitching, we should kind of have a win-win solution in there. I think that is something that, yeah, will definitely, we have to learn to run a business. So, yeah.
Well, it's a good point, and to use the story of Diane, she's shifting now because her business has continued to grow, and now she's almost to the point where she has a waiting list because
Wow.
people are saying yes. She's not able to keep up with everybody, and the one-to-one coaching is exhausting her. And so we're looking at repositioning everything now to being a group program. And so what you were just describing was something she was going through. She said, "But what if they don't want to be in a group?" Right? Here's what I say. I say this, design your, this might sound very selfish. I know it probably does sound that way, but I will also say it works better this way. When you design your business around you, yes, you're still serving that audience and you're still meeting them where they're at. That's not, we're not changing that. But when you design the mechanics of your business, like where you show up on social and your sales process or your delivery, what I have found is that when you just set the expectation for people and you deliver on that expectation, it is how you set the stage. So I said to her, "Look, it's true. Your current one-on-one clients might not feel good about shifting to a group model because they're comfortable with you and they're used to this one-on-one experience. However, the next customer you close a deal with, instead of giving them the option of one-on-one, you just simply say, our groups meet at these times. You have access to, she does set herself up with a hybrid where they have access to her through WhatsApp for one-on-one questions because there are sensitive topics people don't want to share in a group setting. I said, but you are not going to meet with everybody one-on-one. It's a group meeting if they want you one-on-one, like face-to-face. And I said, and the thing is, they won't know different. And so they will be okay with it. And the fact that you are still there to meet them where they are with your WhatsApp group or one-on-one conversations will solve that problem. And it's true. People just and if they ask you like, well, do you offer one-on-one? Then you say yes, but it's more money because I am running out of room for people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. 100%. And, you know, and this kind of hesitation sometimes comes to, especially someone who's doing, maybe freelancing or providing products or services online that, you have to kind of, I shouldn't use the word, but still kind of bend down to everything. I think that's where it kind of leads us into this rabbit hole of burnout. And it doesn't serve in the long term, doesn't.
No, it
So
doesn't.
I
Well,
think that.
I was just gonna say I was on a episode with a gal who does an e-commerce brand.
Okay.
Um, it was interesting because we were talking about artists specifically, and she was mentioning how she knows a gal who makes custom coffee mugs, and she charges like $750 a mug. A mug! And you would be thinking, "Wow, how could someone make a living who would buy a coffee mug?" Well, the amount of time she puts into it, it is legitimately the cost it needs to make because it's a work of art and it's a process. And she sells them out. Every time she does a new batch, she sells out almost instantly. The point is to say that there is a market for every business. There really is. And it's not always so much about if we think that if we devalue our product and think nobody will buy it at this, like if she said, well, nobody would pay $750 for my mug, so I'm going to do all this work and I'm only going to charge $25 or $30, right? She's devaluing it. She's not believing in her audience. When you shift your mindset and start to say, yes, there are people and I want to attract more like this, and you show up ready to receive them, it's a whole different world. Like all of a sudden your eyes are open to things that you were not seeing before. And that's really what happened with Diane. She didn't know there would be people that would be interested in buying her products, and right now she doesn't realize that there will be people who will be okay with group, but we're all expanding. That's the beauty of business, like it's infinite potential.
Exactly. Exactly. Going back to the basics, the positioning, the messaging.
Yeah.
Super, super. Lindsay, what an illuminating and um very practical conversation, I must say. Before we wrap up, I'm very sure listeners, definitely founders or maybe freelancers, small and medium businesses, they would definitely like to explore more around this. So if they want to begin on this journey, they would want to connect with you, what would be the best medium?
My favorite is my Freedom Online Business Builder community on Facebook because starting in January, I'll be going live there on a weekly basis, but it's a great place to ask questions and get like free help, basically. So that's where I would recommend people go.
Super. Listeners, you heard that. And I'm going to put all the links and details in the show notes so that you can connect with Lindsay and be a part of her online live sessions from January onwards, next year onwards. But before we wrap up, let's quickly recap the entire conversation. So, the four foundations Lindsay laid out clarity of offer, audience and positioning, systems and operations. So, the business does not live in your brain, profits and pricing that actually support your life, freedom based design, and CEO mindset. So, your business stays a blessing, not a burden. And if you picked up even one, ouch, that is me moment in this conversation, do not just nod and move on. pick one foundation. Be relaxed, pick one foundation. Take one small step this week. And listeners, do make sure to connect with Lindsay, refer to the show notes, and make sure to hit follow on BizBlend so you never miss these tactical, honest conversations. Share this episode with one founder friend who is stuck on the content hamster wheel and needs to hear about the part about systems, profit, and freedom. Thanks for listening. Take care of your mind, your money, your systems, and I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you.